Yes, everybody, and welcome back to another daily drop brought to you by TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner. Joining me as he always does is THI publisher Andrew Jones. And AJ, we're here, I guess for lack of a better word, the second edition of our Breakout Player Series daily drop. We did one on the offensive one earlier, and now we're doing one on the defense. So for those who maybe didn't see the offensive one, go watch that. But on the defensive side, we're going to be talking about our top 3 defensive breakout players coming up this season. So, AJ, I don't really know your list. I have an idea of who might be on it based on just, common knowledge of the program and some things that we've heard from inside the program. So give me your top 3 defensive breakout players. I know they're in no particular order, but I'll let you take over. Give me your top 3.
I'm going to start with Elijah Huzzy, and I didn't do Walker on offense because he'd already been really good at the FCS level or BS level. Excuse me. Huzzy's coming from FCS. I still think there's some skeptics about him, although if you watch him in practice, like we did a lot, you see his film. He's got all the great instincts. Finds the ball, gets the ball. He's also a cover guy, so he's got the right head for it. He got over the all factor very quickly in Chapel Hill, felt like he belonged pretty quickly. He doesn't have the flamboyant personality that you would expect from some corners, but there's a rock solidness to him, if you will, that I think the staff loves. And I think that's what they want. There was maybe a little bit more pomp than there was production in the past. I think that they want production. If you produce, then be as pomp as you want, right? Mm-hmm. But they need the production. And I think that this young man has an opportunity to give them something they haven't had for a while. And he knew this too. When I first met him and I was first interviewing him, maybe 2 minutes in, if even that long, when I was going to ask about, what did the staff communicate to you that they needed from you? And I told him, I prefaced it by saying, in the first 4 years of Mack Brown Part 2, Carolina's cornerbacks combined for 8 interceptions. He had 6 last year and 6 the year before. So when I said that, he's nodding. He knew. They need someone who can get the ball. Because, if you have trouble getting teams off the field and you have trouble getting pressure on quarterbacks and you have trouble stopping the run and you struggle on third and short and fourth and short, if you can get some turnovers, you can kind of mask some of those other areas where in conventional stuff, when no turnover occurs, maybe you struggle some. Get those turnovers, changes things a lot. And get the offense the ball. Give Drake May the ball after getting a stop on a turnover, which often might be pretty decent field position. Suddenly, North Carolina's in a better position to win some of the games it didn't win last year. So I think Elijah Huzzy is going to be a big time player for him. Give him a lot of consistency at the corner too. They've lacked tremendous consistency. Even with Storm Duck, as well as he played at times, especially early on, wasn't consistent. You have a really good play and a poor play. There was a lot of consistency was the biggest problem in the secondary. Last year, Cam Kelly would be really good, and then also he'd be terrible. So I think Huzzy is that guy. I'm going to go with Travis Shaw. Mm-hmm. Everything I'm hearing behind the scenes about Travis is exactly what fans want to hear. He's dropped a lot of weight. He's taking things seriously. He's not just a kid anymore. He's still a kid. And I say that as far as personality and sort of, figuring out, kind of still learning how to be an older guy. Yeah. With a lot of responsibility in a football program. But he has turned a corner. There's a tremendous amount of confidence that he is going to become the player that they have projected all along he would become. And I can tell you this, absolutely, source inside the program who knows a thing or two about a thing or two says he should eventually become a first-round pick. Mm-hmm. So Travis in year 2, he's got enough experience last year. I think the having a full year in the program and kind of seeing, okay, lots of don'ts on film. So here, let's put a lot of do's on film. I think he gets it. So I think he's going to have a really, really good year. He's going to give them probably 40 snaps a game, 35, 40, really good snaps a game. And we're going to see a pretty nice little ascent in his game. And a guy that at times is going to look like a potential future NFL player. And the other one is Will Hardy. Will came on strong last year. And he got a lot of really important reps early in the year. He was their third down. He was like a third down safety, nickel, just go back there and do your job kind of guy. We were all trying to figure that out for the longest time. And not sure we ever got a totally straight answer on it, but didn't matter because smart guy on the field, third down situation, you cannot afford to make mistakes. You got to read what the offense is doing and react properly. And who was there at the right place at the right time against Duke for the interception? It's Will Hardy.
Yep.
Who started those last few games and played like he'd been in the program for a few years? Will Hardy. Who's a guy that looks like in basketball, we always have, hey, player's coach. You can just tell. Coach's son.
Coach's son, yeah.
There's coach's sons out there, right? He's a coach's son.
Yes,
plays
very
like
vocal.
A coach's son.
Very vocal.
But really athletic, long. And I remember last year in fall camp, we were talking to everybody, we'd ask them who the surprise guys were and stuff. And Will Hardy's name came up all the time, and he had just arrived. So he arrived in the summer, and he was on the field playing a lot starting at the end of the year. Now he's had a full off season in the program. I think the expectations are very high for him, that he could become an outstanding college player. And I think we're going to see him take a big step in that direction this year. So I'm going Huzzy, I'm going Shaw, and I'm going Hardy.
I like that list, man. That's a really good list right there. And a lot of guys I would have on there, or at least have as honorable mentions. I'll go ahead and give you mine. I'll start with Shaw because
you love those honorable mention guys, huh? You like having.
Hey man, I got a lot because there's a few guys, and I don't want to have the same list as you necessarily. And there's guys that I'm like, there's more than.
You got to have your list. If your list it's your list. So.
Good point. So I'll give you mine right now. Travis Shaw is on my list. He is essentially the only overlap that we have right now. And again, same thing that you said. I'm not going to restate it, but what we're hearing from inside the program, he's always a guy that's looked the part to me. Even last year at times when he came in, it seems like he did make things happen at times. And I think it was just a matter of, like you said, dropping a little bit of weight, maybe taking it a little bit more seriously and just kind of maturing as a human being and as a football player. And I think he's done that in a lot of ways. So I expect him to have a massive year because I think he is that good. And I think the expectations that he came in with are expectations that he can fulfill, not only because of his talent. You can't teach size like that, AJ. You can't coach size like that. Can't coach athleticism and size like that. You either have that or you don't. Shaw has all the intangibles to have a really big year, and I think he will based on what we're hearing that's going on off the field and on the field as well. So second guy on my list, AJ, is a guy that a lot of people have forgotten about, Tamari Fox. I think Tamari could really have a good year for this Tar Heel team, and I think what makes me think that is not only is he saw him at the Showtime camp as well, he's the biggest dude on the team. I mean, just in terms of overall size compared to muscle mass that he has, he is always, when I see him in person, man, he's the most impressive. Oh man, he is the most impressive physical looking guy on that team. Arms are massive. And he was standing next to a guy like Miles Murphy, he's not small, but just the difference, honestly, and the size of the arms and just the physicality of him, man, he is a monster out there. And I think he'll have a big year. And one of the reasons I think he'll have a big year, AJ, is because he hasn't played football in a while. I mean, what he gone through the last year with the suspension and everything, hasn't been able to play in a long time, but he's been around the program. He's stuck around. And if we know anything about the Fox brothers when it comes to Carolina, they're guys that stick around and always seem to produce when it matters. So I think Tamari Fox is going to have a bit of a chip on this shoulder this year, a bit of a want to go out there and prove that he not only is a really good college football player, but he'll just enjoy being back out there playing when you look at how long it's been since he's been able to do that. I think that plays a major factor as well. And I think he's a guy that could have a breakout year because even when he was playing, he was always doing some nice things, but if he can come out and produce even more, I think you can consider that a breakout year for him as well. So he's on my list. And AJ, the third one on my list, let me explain this one. It's Dez Evans. And I think why I think he can have a breakout year is because he came in with really high expectations. I don't think he's quite met that yet. I think he would maybe probably tell you the same thing. I think he dealt with some maturity issues on and off the field, growing as an individual, as a human being, like any 18, 17-year-old kid would have to do when they come into a program with the expectations that he had on him. But there's always been glimpses. He's dealt with injuries a lot of his time at Carolina. If he can stay healthy, I think the defensive line as a whole should all have a chip on their shoulder this year because they have a point to prove. They weren't good. They sucked last year. I mean, they just weren't very good. And I think I can say that confidently because the stats don't lie. They were one of the worst statistical defensive lines in the country, and that's unacceptable for me. For a program like North Carolina that has as much talent and size as they do down there, they have to be improved. I think Dez Evans can have a really, really breakout year on that end. More mature. I saw him at Showtime camp as well. He looks a little bit more fit. He looks a little bit bigger as well. He looks the part of a guy that can really go out there and produce on that end. So Dez Evans is almost kind of my wild card out of these three. I think he has done some nice things in his career, but I think there's a couple more levels he can go. And he's a guy that I think can do that this year. So those are my top three. If I had to throw an honorable mention in there, it would be Will Hardy. He was a guy that's on my list because I really just love what he did last year. And as a guy that did a lot of video shooting on the field and was really up close during these games last year, he always impressed me with the maturity he showed. He was a quarterback back there at safety as a true freshman. He was extremely vocal. He was a guy that was always directing people around. You can tell that he's a coach's son, like you mentioned. And I think he's a guy that can be a really, really, really good safety for this team later in his Carolina career. But I think he can take that next step this year as well. Not only producing on the field, but being kind of that vocal leader out there that the Tar Heels, I think, so desperately need. And any team really needs at the safety position. You need a guy who's vocal, who's a leader when he's seeing the guy that sits back there and sees the whole field. That's where you want your vocal leaders at. And I think Will Hardy ticks that box, and he's an extremely smart football player as well, which is a plus for a safety too. So that's my three along with the honorable mention. If you have an honorable mention, let me know, AJ.
Yeah. Safeties need to take a snapshot of what's in front of them and then process it real quickly. And he's phenomenal at that.
Great.
I love your Fox and Evans picks. We had a little chat about Evans beforehand. Didn't know you were in that direction. I'm glad you did because I think it's a great pick for all the reasons that you stated. Consistency, it's got to be tougher. I think toughness was one of the issues that when he arrived, just got to adapt to the physicality. You just can't throw guys around like rag dolls like he could in high school. Some guys don't ever reach the right level of tenacity, of physicality. I think that for him, that's sort of the missing link between being a solid college player to having any chance at earning money playing the sport.
Yeah.
The physicality has to get better. And if the physicality is better, I think consistency will be better. There were times he looked really good, and then he sort of takes himself out of place. So he's got to improve a lot of aspects of his game, but it's all there.
Yeah. The intangibles.
There's nothing, there's nothing that he's lacking that would say, okay, well, ceiling's really just kind of here for that guy. The ceiling's way up there. It's just a matter of, does it all come together? Well, let's remember, he's still got 2 more years because he gets the COVID year.
Yeah, true.
And he might need 2 more years to become an NFL player if he's ever going to become one. But that's what I like about the COVID. The COVID year is perfect for a guy like him. And honestly, 5th year of eligibility is perfect for a guy like Dez Evans. To me, he'll be the prototype because he might need it. Because not everybody goes on the same speed.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Everybody's got their own unique path, and his path's a little bit different. It's got a lot of stuff to learn. It's incremental, which is okay. Some people just shoot off like a rocket. Some people are incremental. I get it. So the 5th year allows him to continue being incremental without losing opportunity. A huge Tamari Fox guy. Yeah. Really smart. Unbelievably nasty, strongest guy on the team. I love the way you said, Chip. I agree with you 1,000% on that. And you know what they lost from Vahasek, they're going to get from Fox.
True.
Going to play. He's not. I don't know how tall he is. You saw him the other day. I haven't seen him in person.
He's not the tallest guy in the world, but he's
going to play low though. Yeah, I mean they want to own their space. They want to be violent in their space, and they want to be quick in their space. And he's probably quicker than Vahasek. And Vahasek's with the Jaguars, so I think that Fox, he's quick off the ball. I think get through a gap pretty quickly. Might help the conventional pass rush a little bit more. I know that when he played a lot as a true freshman out of absolute need, he had the ability to get through the cracks every once in a while. He didn't always fight stuff off because he was in a normal year probably would have been on the field. But I like those two picks. I think those are really good.
Yeah, I agree. Let me say one thing about Fox real quick too. Is one of the things that stood out to me at the Showtime camp is there. I think KBJ was there. I think Travis Shaw was there. Miles Murphy was there, and so was Tamari Fox. But Tamari was the guy, along with Tim Cross, when they were coaching the defensive linemen. He was the guy that was coaching the most, and he was the guy that was showcasing and explaining and showing how to do these drills. And he even gave a speech afterwards along with Mac Brown. Mac Brown called a couple players to talk, and Tamari Fox was one of the guys that picked up the microphone. I think he might have been the first one, and said some really good things to these kids. So not only do I think he has all the intangibles and a little chip on his shoulder, I think he's a leader, and I think he's a vocal leader, and I think that matters.
He's a really smart, confident guy. Tamar was a smart, confident guy. They're different personalities.
Yeah, Tamari's a little more last year, outgoing.
And what did Tamar do?
Yeah.
Remember when Tamar came back and he's telling us, well, when I get to the NFL, there were some stickers from some people.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be an NFL guy.
Mm-hmm.
New York Giants thought so.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Tamari is or not, but I know he could be a hell of a player for this team. And that's the kind of dude. When people think about we're not going to go long on this. I'm just going to give you a quickly here. Dean and I have been trying to explain to people for a few months how recruiting has changed for Carolina. What they're looking for has changed. So Tamari is an example of what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron Rucker is an example of what they're looking for. Cedric Gray is an example of what they're looking for. They're looking for those guys. They're zeroing in on a lot of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
With a lot of football games, when dudes like that are on your defense. And Tamari's got a lot of the intangibles, just basic intangibles. I'm looking forward to seeing him play, and he got kind of a bum deal by the NCAA. So,
agreed.
Okay, but he's got this year. He's smarter, wiser, better,
stronger, somehow,
and he's probably just got like an ocean full of juice just waiting to pour out of the field.
That guy's going to be flying around game one. I mean, there's no doubt about it against South Carolina. I think he's going to be a guy that pre-game and during the game, you can probably tell how excited he'll be out there to play. There's no doubt about it. And he loves the sport. Imagine not being able to play it for a year,
ABC needs to mic up Tamari Fox in pregame and in the locker room. Don't play it live.
Yeah.
Mic him up. Do some edits and play it. I think that's the guy I want to. That's the guy I want to hear chatting in pregame.
He's a leader.
Tomorrow.
He is. He's a leader, and I think he's going to be very important for this team coming up this year.
So Jacob Turner and Kevin Roy have an assignment. Find Tamari Fox, stick a camera in his face, and stay with him.
I'll do it. I will 100% do that pregame. No doubt. You mark that down. That's a great idea. I'm going to go ahead and write that one down so I don't forget it when I get off this. That's going to be a great video. Stay tuned for that, guys, because I am 100% doing that because I think we'll get some great clips. Might have to beep a few things out, but, that's fun. That's college football, right? That's what you want.
If you're not having to bleep a few things out, there's something wrong.
Yeah, there's something wrong. Yeah, if it's a G-rated pep talk, then it probably not going to work very well. Let's put it that way. We'll go ahead and wrap it up, AJ. Top 3 defensive players set for a breakout year. We want to hear from you guys as well. So easiest thing to do is to get involved on Twitter. We will post this video on our Twitter at Heel Illustrated. Just go underneath it, comment on the thread. Let us know your top 3 guys if you agree or disagree. And if you agree with both of our lists, just go ahead and like the video below as well so we can see how many people, jive with some of the stuff that we're saying. So again, though, we want to hear from y'all, Facebook, Twitter, and our website as well. You can all get involved with, and we're looking forward to hearing from you guys as always. I'm Jacob Turner. He's Andrew Jones. Appreciate y'all watching. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. See you on the next one. Thanks.